This world is founded on exploration, a desire to experience something almost extinct. Extreme expeditions, exposing the unknown. This is X-Quest. Meet Frank Wolf and Todd McPhee, two Canadian adventurers trying to make it all the way across Scandinavia in a canoe. Or more accurately, with a canoe. It's an 800-kilometer voyage through the woods, down rapids, over mountains, across snow, and into some of the worst mosquito country on Earth. There's a reason no one's done this since the Vikings. It's brutal.
We have leaves of absence from work for 30 days. We may have to phone in and say that we're sick and can't quite make it back.
I'm gonna do a ceremonial just dip into the water, the great Norwegian Sea here. All right, onward.
As Frank and Todd head out, attempting to become the first humans to ever cross Scandinavia with a canoe, they know that what they're doing could easily kill them. They are headed far away from civilization and medical help. They have no satellite phone and no emergency beacon. The plan is to go from Bogness, Norway, through Sweden, ending in Oulu, Finland. It's an 800-kilometer long broken trail of lakes, rivers, dams, and mountainous land.
Then you know this.
Lots of sound.
Is like.
That's right.
Todd and Frank leave Bogness, Norway with a kayaking cameraman, 120 kilograms of gear, and a clear view of the Viking homeland. Today, they'll paddle for nearly 10 hours.
Probably cover about 30 or so kilometers today if all goes well.
It's the first day of summer in Lapland, the solstice, the longest day of the year. What that means for Frank and Todd up above the Arctic Circle is constant sunshine, 24 hours a day. For the next 2 weeks, the sun will always be up, and they hope it will always be out. This is supposed to be the sunny season, but the only reason Todd's wearing his wide-brimmed cowboy hat right now is that there's no other place to store it.
First day down, got a nice mossy rock to camp on. Got some drunk jet skiers in the back. Wiener, the national dish of Norway. And Todd had 2, and he's nauseous now.
2 is my limit.
In the morning, the team makes their first bold decision. They head out in weather they predict will get rough. Normally that would be okay, but where Todd and Frank are headed, there's nowhere to escape. This fjord becomes a hallway of vertical rock.
We've got a pretty strong following wind and seas that's opposing the current, so we might have a little bit of chop today. Maybe the wind will pick up too as the fjord gets narrower and narrower. We'll just have to watch out for that because we won't be able to get to shore. It's sheer cliffs.
These areas were originally populated by the Vikings. They would have looked for places that were sheltered from the open ocean and kind of tucked into these deep fjords that lie along Norway's coast.
When they come upon a village containing an ancient community of people known as the Samis, Frank and Todd pull ashore and discover the Samis are still bitter about the Vikings.
Because the Vikings wanted the taxes.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what we heard about. We read about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's their taxes.
But the Sami were here first.
Yeah.
And the Vikings came and took taxes from them.
Yes.
Still.
Not only the Vikings, but also the Vikings in Sweden.
Both sides.
Yeah, both sides. So they have to pay twice as much as people in the fjords. they rob the people and kill the animals and kill the people.
Tax is just a nice way of saying it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The guys head off knowing that this lake is going to end soon. When they strike dry land, Frank is going to have to carry the canoe, and Todd is going to have to carry the stuff.
We're at the end of Tis Fjord now, and just behind me, see this big, pronounced ridge line above the little village, and just beyond that ridge line is the pass that we're going to have to go through for about 30 kilometers into Sweden, and eventually drop down into Akajari Lake on the other side. It'll be a good run, but looking forward to it. Ellenbotten. Like true Vikings, we came in to conquer this village. It was extremely easy to conquer because there were no people here.
But the place is ours.
We definitely own this village right now, but we haven't really plundered it. Gotta have good karma, you know? It's modern Viking karma we're going for.
But before the guys get out of here, plundering will begin. Todd McPhee and Frank Wolf are trying to get a canoe and a month's worth of supplies over a Norwegian mountain.
It promises to be excruciatingly painful.
It's starting to rip out.
And we haven't even started. Doesn't bode well.
Let the plundering begin.
It might be terribly uncomfortable.
Todd needs something rigid to save his bag, so he steals 2 boards from this construction site. Viking karma, hiking karma. It's all the same. You need it, you take it.
Get me through this.
For the next 3 days, expect it to be quite difficult. Approximately 30 kilometers going up to this pass. We don't know what to expect. It'll be a grunt. We have to climb about 2,000 feet within the first 4 or 5 kilometers. That'll be today, and we'll see how far we can get if our bodies don't explode. Oh yeah, good climber.
I weigh 300 pounds.
Kind of odd to have a canoe up here 1,000 feet above the ocean, where there's no water really, but that's what you got to do to connect up a long route across Scandinavia.
The team is walking out of Norway, headed for the Swedish border.
We'll see these couple of tarns here,
Yeah.
and then we'll get up right here. And once we're up here, we're pretty good.
There are times on an expedition like this where you ask yourself, should I really be doing this? Is this the best way for me to spend my life? Why do I like having a canoe on my head?
Feels great.
Carrying your canoe is called portaging. This is a little longer than your average portage.
Just another 25 kilometers. Oh yeah.
Made it all worthwhile.
I wonder if anyone's ever carried a canoe up here before.
Never. This was wet.
First ascent.
First ascent.
Next, Everest.
We're just kind of getting used to it, being Vikings. I don't know, Frank has this dream of to pillage and just do as he pleases across the countryside.
The guys plod on through the snow and make a stop so Frank can check the map.
We've got a couple of Ks to the border. So we've come to the Great Scandinavian Divide here.
Being wrestled to the ground by your backpack is called turtling. It's hard on cowboy hats, and it's hard on your spine. The Great Scandinavian Divide is the border between Norway and Sweden. There's no customs agents out here, no passports being stamped, and no one to congratulate Todd and Frank for making it the first third of the way to their goal.
Everything here, from now on, flows to Sweden.
Right now, I am in Sweden, and Frank is lagging behind in Norway.
I like Norway a lot.
I like Sweden.
Let's go.
We just had a bit of a safety meeting about what happens in the rapids, how to run them signals and stuff like that. So, yeah, we're gonna see how far down we can paddle.
They can paddle for only a few kilometers before it gets too rough. Much too rough. Thankfully, this portage is short.
Possible if we can make it all the way down to Akajari Lake, the first lake in the Lula system, that we'll have a first descent on our hands.
A first descent means that no one has ever taken a boat down this river to Lake Akajari before. Todd is enjoying the exhilarating ride, while Frank is anxious about the river's shrinking depth. Maybe they should have brought helmets. The water is too shallow for the boats to float. The cameraman, Kevin Shepard, strikes a rock and capsizes.
Initially, it's not a shock. It's the 10 minutes after, when you're standing in the Arctic in thin long johns, when the cold kind of sets in a bit.
A little bit of carnage is probably good for the heart.
And what did you lose?
I lost my yellow water clogs, but they glow in the dark, so someone's gonna find them. They'll be here for thousands of years.
We don't have any kind of EPIRB or emergency signaling system, so we're probably as far as we could be from help. Probably 20 kilometers on either side to get to anywhere.
It was dramatic and daring, but we rescued the water clogs.
When Todd says he wants to paddle through this deadly rapid, he's being sarcastic. At least we think he is.
This is fantastic. So we're gonna catch that eddy and just slip in under the crack and pound on through everything else. It's quite exciting.
It'll be 3 days before we get off this river. Just gonna be doing a little, probably about a 5-kilometer portage, maybe more now. Kind of a bushwhack too, I think, because we're way off the trail. Just following this river. Just looks like by the map now, starting with this section of canyon here, that just kind of gets more and more waterfall-y, but hopefully when we get past, we'll be able to get on and it'll be a lot mellower after about 5 or so kilometers. You ready? No problem, eh?
No, it's
nothing.
lighter now. Because I'm stronger.
The guys get set to go. Fairly certain they know where they're headed. But quickly, the going gets rougher than they thought it would be.
Water-saturated moss, little tiny birch trees that kind of whack at your shins and your knees. Bigger birch trees that kind of throw your canoe around everywhere. So definitely tough going, and then the perpetual cloud of mosquitoes always following you and just kind of like biting at will and sucking your blood, and so quite difficult indeed.
We have our 2 possible options highlighted, and we're going somewhere down the middle.
Even the best laid
preparation
plans eventually fall to waste.
Yes, misadventure.
something.
Boat repairs are a daily event. Every morning, the canoe is given a thorough inspection and patch job.
Probably yesterday went over right where the rib is hitting the outside of the hull, and looks like a bunch of holes punched in, so today we're basically just filling up with water going down the river, constantly pumping. And now we know why, so we're going to do a quick fixer job so we can keep on heading down.
The lack of darkness is taking a strange toll. So is the lack of sunshine, and warmth, and water that's safe for paddling.
4 more kilometers.
This is no longer a vacation. It's a fight for survival.
Yes. Turned into more of an epic than I could ever have expected. All in all, it's quite a bit more adventurous than I had visually foreseen.
Frank had foreseen beautiful weather, calmer water, and wildlife. He envisioned Scandinavia as a beer commercial, but the Swedish bikini team is nowhere in sight. The first people to ever attempt canoeing across Scandinavia are having a hard time. Life has been reduced to a surreal combination of wind and water, water and wind.
What is happening? We're being blasted by wind. What does the water look like?
Very white cappy.
Very white cappy. This is the problem. Definitely the Mediterranean of the north.
Today we get a 40, 50k an hour headwind to paddle against, so it should be interesting. Right now it's kind of like 3-4 foot kind of rolling waves, building and getting stronger. So you're kind of like paddling on a treadmill.
Well, the boat automatically kind of wants to broach, but it's not so nice to have be sideways in the wave.
It blows like this for a few days. It might take a long time to get anywhere. And this is only the first lake.
Ashore, the team waits for the weather to clear. And it does clear, but high winds remain. At least there's no Vikings.
The Vikings basically would have just kind of claimed the land for their own and then made the people living there pay them a tax. Otherwise, the consequence would be that they'd kill them. Just would have basically moved through here trading, or more or less taking anything they considered valuable.
Off in the distance, Frank and Todd see something valuable, a settlement. The team hasn't seen a community since the Sami village. This is also a Sami village, built generations ago for hunting reindeer on their winter migration. This being the height of summer, only one family is here at the moment smoking fish.
This is the style they used to live in, basically. And now, all this is how it would have been originally, all the wood?
Yes,
The
yes,
same.
this is the same.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's 3 in the morning when Todd and Frank paddle away. It's okay. In Scandinavia, time is a foreign concept.
It doesn't really matter. Night is day, day is night. It's all light.
There is no time.
Paddling for long, silent stretches, your mind can play tricks on you, thinking thoughts beyond your control.
These are some of the hazards of canoe tripping. I started counting my paddle strokes. That's a bad idea. Don't count your paddle strokes. Finally, I forgot about that, and then the numbers faded away, shutting down various parts of the mind. Yes, like a shark, how a shark sleeps. It keeps moving.
This lake is controlled by a dam. That means the amount of water here can change dramatically.
Through here.
None of these rocks are actually on the map. What's happened here is basically the dam has been let out over the last few weeks, and the map only shows everything that's kind of up to the green tree line behind me. So everything below that disappears when the level goes down. So it ends up being this kind of big labyrinth of rocks that we have to kind of pick our way through just by looking for gaps and stuff like that.
This fixed windmill confirms Frank's worst fear.
That big windmill over there Looks like prevailing winds are indeed from the east, so we have another 400 kilometers of headwind paddling to get to the Gulf of Bothnia, which isn't the most uplifting thing necessarily.
What do you think of the balls?
They're very big, and there's 2 more sets downstream.
You gonna run it?
I think I'll take the grueling portage line.
The team is veered out of the woods and into Stora Sofalet in Sweden. Here they'll say goodbye to their cameraman, who is off to Russia. Before Todd and Frank take over filming responsibilities, they get civilized with some cold beer and fresh meat.
We've got some ground reindeer, well known worldwide to be produced by the Lapps, who have the big herds. So here we are at we finally found this little town here and the restaurant, and we're just having a little bit of the local flavor, just like that little guy over there, sitting in the corner.
Three bags of food, $200. And I bought them too, to carry your stuff.
That's like a good bonus.
Yeah. They were the expensive part. I bought 4. Who could resist? Hey.
The sun never sets in Sweden at this time of year. It just swirls around the sky. It's day 7 of a month-long voyage across Scandinavia for Todd McPhee and Frank Wolf.
So far, Todd has been skunked. He may be skunked the whole trip along. He knows North American fish, but he doesn't know Norwegian or Swedish or Finnish fish, so he's got to get inside the mind of the fish if he's going to have any success.
To show humility before the fishing gods, Todd sacrifices his cowboy hat.
No more stampedes for you.
It might help him catch fish, but it's sure not impressing the weather gods.
And it's raining again. Sure enough, we've got rain and headwind now. Woo! Pushing it sideways, keep it straight.
It's a fierce blast of nature. Paddling along in the calm, and we see all white, nothing but white coming down on us. Just started to blow a little bit, and it was like an explosion of angry wind.
As soon as the rain passes, a new squall appears. This one's headed right for them, full force.
I think here we go again. This looks like the bigger, badder brother of the first storm. It's a lot darker, a lot angrier looking. And we think we saw a bit of a flash of light over there, so it looks like it might be a bit of a lightning storm.
I don't want to get hit by lightning. 3 times as fast.
Where are we, Todd?
We're inside a smokehouse in the sort of traditional Kota style, except with modern materials. It's got that teepee-ish shape, and we're just getting shelter from the rain, so you should come inside. Smoke reindeer. Found it in the dirt.
As quickly as it comes, it's gone away again.
This section of the river is much shallower than Frank hoped it would be. It's thrilling to run, but that thrill is based mostly in anxiety.
Well, we ran most of this rapid, and then just the last little part into the lake, too many rocks scattered about in there, so we'll get hung up on the rocks too much and damage the boat possibly. We can capsize off a rock and lose all our gear. It would be awful. Mainly, it's boat damage that we're concerned about.
They decide to walk downriver, but instead of carrying the boat, they'll float it, using a technique called lining.
Just the beginning of Stora Lulevatten, which is the largest lake in the Lulea River Valley. And I'd say out of 10 days, this is our second day of sunshine. Well, that was our first reindeer sighting.
I'm going after him. He's not quite cooperating. He keeps running away. And continues.
All right, so here we are approaching the end of Stora Lulevatten Lake, which is the largest in the Lula system. And as you can see, for the first time on our entire trip, day 10, we've got a great dead calm, so we're making really good progress.
Just looking for a campsite, and then we're gonna walk into this little town and see what's going on there. All the other towns we've seen today have been abandoned. I'm getting eaten alive! Some kind of train track and highway. Where's the town we're looking for? God knows where. The mosquitoes ate it.
Supposed to be a town here, but we can't find it.
There's no Swedish people. It's an abandoned country. They left.
Todd worries that he might be going bonkers. Could whole towns really have picked up and moved away? Or is this a parallel universe he slipped into? Todd and Frank haven't had a real cultural exchange since their trip across Scandinavia began. Now they're about to have a cup of coffee with one of the toothless local woodsmen.
Somebody's actually opening their house to us. Pretty much the first time in the whole trip.
So how long has Rasmus been drinking coffee for?
Oh, she was 8 months
Oh, wow.
when he first tried.
Yeah. First thing he drinks, besides his mother's milk.
Yes. Outside in the wood the whole day, and they must drink coffee.
Yeah, it's good. It warms you up.
I make coffee.
Jacked up on caffeine, the Canadians hit the rails and head out of town.
Dam number 3.
No, we're not.
Sure we are. 1, 2, 3.
Canoeing through the woods in the land of the midnight sun has the guys just a little punch drunk.
We're in the middle of a portage, and the rain just stopped 1 second ago.
Big red canoes, keep on going down the road. It's been a long day.
Midnight? 1 a.m. 1 a.m.
I think it's like 11:45.
11:45. No doubt. All right. We can do it.
Nothing sexier than a big red canoe. We got about 11K on this wet road. Spectacular Swedish weather.
One of the nice things about this trip is all the unexpected obstacles you could never really prepare yourself for.
Crashed out for another bright night of sleep, the guys fear the dams that lie ahead. Every dam means another nasty portage.
Today we're going to push on down through the canyon, probably to another dam, and then another dam, and then another dam. We're about halfway in the map and about to do our 4th dam here. Then afterwards we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more until they eventually get to Lulea.
Living on mustard and cheese.
And speaking of cheese,
Come in.
As you can see, the outside is done very almost anti-tastefully. It's so anti-tasteful, it's tasteful. They've kind of taken some nice tarp here and frayed it for that kind of frills and this sort of thing that really kind of gives it that sort of dangerous look. So I'm gonna live here, I think. Stop me.
it's too campy to stay here, but there's a town nearby, so the guys go there for much-needed supplies.
The town has been moved. It sounds ridiculous, but they do that here. You think that you could make a phone call here or something like that? No, they moved the phone booth. They moved the gas station. They moved everything. The library. It's all moved.
Why did they move it?
I don't know why they moved it.
That's probably one reason the town was moved.
The damn dam.
Not so bad. We get another 35K until the next dam. So looks like we'll be cruising for a while.
Headed for the lively town of Volarain, the guys experience a dream come true. They are paddling on the Arctic Circle.
How does lunch taste at the Arctic Circle pub?
It tastes really good. It's cheese and bread and mustard. And that's what the Arctic Circle looks like.
We're on that line right now.
We are, right there.
66.6 degrees north latitude. And I'm going for a swim.
666.
Could be some shrinkage.
Rock and roll.
People talking all around the world.
Morning, McPhee.
Good morning. How you doing?
I did sleep last night.
I slept so well.
Now what time is it?
No time. Morning time.
So what happens in the morning?
We have cowboy coffee.
Right.
And then we go canoeing for many hours today.
Cowboy coffee is coffee boiled in a pot and strained through your teeth. It's almost as bad as this summer's weather.
This is the coldest summer in 76 years in Sweden. Dried, cracked, randomly bleeding hands. All part of the experience.
Very few people out there have probably owned this much Gouda before. But I do. I'm going to eat this for lunch. We're at Boden, and this is the last dam of our trip. It's 9 dams.
So after basically portaging through the mountains in Norway at the border, and then portaging 9 dams of varying lengths, we're finally done the carrying. So it's basically downstream to the ocean, and then 250 kilometers or so of the Gulf of Bothnia to Finland.
When the Vikings plundered here, even they weren't crazy enough to do what Frank and Todd are doing.
The Vikings did portions of it in sections. They wouldn't have just said, let's go from Norway to Finland. When you're doing kind of a first ever thing, you don't have anyone to kind of track exactly what they did. So that's kind of all part of the adventure and makes it very exciting.
Barring any further excitement, the guys should reach their destination in 3 days. But in Scandinavia, excitement is inevitable. 2 Canadians have traveled nearly 500 kilometers across Scandinavia with a canoe. To make it to their Finnish finish line, they still have 300 kilometers to go. Right now, they're headed for the town of Luleå, where they'll hook up with a newspaper reporter that they met at the Volare Music Festival.
And we got the front cover story and a big inside spread. So now our Scandinavia trip is going to be famous across northern Sweden. So pretty cool.
A few autographs later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Now we're all restocked and ready to head out to the Gulf of Bothnia and our 250-kilometer sea journey over to Oulu in Finland. Off in the distance here, you can see just slightly little lines of islands out there, and that's where we're headed to get to the archipelago, and then we'll be zooming north and all the way around and eventually into Finland. Definitely much different than anything we've paddled so far. Much bigger, much more open, so it should be interesting.
Look at this little bird.
Whoa.
So it doesn't look like he'll last long.
He's an orphan.
He's an orphan.
He's doomed.
The law of nature in the Gulf of Bothnia. Currently being dive bombed by some extremely aggressive terns here. I guess they don't want me on the rock. I don't know if they're near some eggs or what, but they're coming like within 5 feet or so and taking shots at my head.
During the last ice age, there was so much weight from the ice pressing down on the spongy ground here, it's still springing back up.
Rising and rising. So much so that the town of Luleå that we were just in, it actually gains just over 2 square kilometers a year of land mass.
For the first time on this voyage, the guys are paddling in the open ocean.
There's a fair bit of swell here. It's not whitecapping too badly, but still it's a good couple of feet high, some of the swell. And we're getting surfed by some of it, but for the most part, our boat keeps wanting to turn upwind. It makes for some pretty challenging paddling.
Every time you expose yourself to the open Gulf of Bothnia, you always are in for a bit of a rough ride, with many more hard kilometers to go.
Seeing a place they can go ashore, Todd and Frank take refuge from the wind. It's late at night. Time for bed. Just once, it'd be nice for the lights to go out.
Gets a little leaky sometimes. Sometimes it's water coming in over the top, but sometimes it's little things like this, so just got to keep on top of it, do a little equipment check every morning.
Spacious.
Tomorrow, we'll head into Finland. The quest in Finland will be to find and to experience the authentic Finnish sauna.
Finland has more saunas per capita than anywhere else on Earth. If the guys survive this, they deserve a good sauna. The open ocean part of their voyage is dangerous and hard on the nerves.
So we're in the middle of this big crossing, and it's kind of gusty on top of swell. So very roly-poly, topsy-turvy.
Land is always in the middle distance, and I'm always trapped in my head. This is just an act of the will. You don't even notice the environment that you're in, except for the waves. Our conversations are interspersed by huge chunks of time. Time doesn't exist.
Not much around, but waves and distant land and factories. Everyone should come to Finland.
about 500 or 600 meters from the town of Sami in Finland, our first town in Finland, and we're just kind of stopping here and scouting out what kind of places we can stay as in campsite. That was a moose, and I just saw it looked like a big log floating along, but it was moving pretty fast, and he just swam right across here and came up in the shallows, and just kind of strolled around in the trees for a bit and then bolted. The official rule is there's no camping unless it's in one of the, I think it was a very small number of campsites, like 500 or so campsites in all of Finland, which isn't very much for such a large, flat country.
So what's our arrangement for tonight, Todd?
Tonight, it's cottage country.
And the whole landscape around is just kind of swamp. As there's little rises of land, often they'll have a little cabin on it because they're going to squeeze it onto the only available soil they have. So they make for ideal camping, and no one was here, so we're setting up.
So we're at the yacht club at the Kemi Marina. It's a pretty similar sort of mariner center as you will find in most of the world, except for it has a sauna. Free for use for anybody that arrives by sea, and we did arrive by sea in our canoe.
If they're building a house, often the sauna will be built first, and the house will be built afterwards. Every establishment has a sauna, and sure enough, this is our first town in Finland, and we're saunaing, so giddy up.
Yeah, with these kind of trips, these big trips, you conceive it a year in advance or so, and then you have to basically do everything it takes to get it off the ground. And then you're on the trip, and it's just like go, 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 go. And it isn't kind of until you come towards the end, as we are now, that it kind of hits like it's almost over. It really causes you to reflect, and all kind of piles up and hits you in the head.
The wind has returned, of course. Pretty much a full-on headwind. Very powerful headwind.
Looks like the wind is just cranking up and cranking up here. It's gonna fight us all the way to the bitter end. Looks like all the way to Oulu. So we gotta round this big point and then try to stick it shore, because it's just hammering.
With the clouds showing classic signs of electrical activity, the guys press on.
We're just rounding this point, another horn to go into town. It's a Martinyami. Started putting on our rain jackets because it started pouring again, and then a bolt of lightning hit the water, not all that far from us. And yes, even my fingers started tingling.
And thunder at the same time.
And thunder at the same time, like bam. So it was quite frightening. We just bolted into shore, and now we're hiding.
We're tantalizingly close to the finish, but the Gulf doesn't want to let us go yet. No better place to be on your 34th birthday.
But will Frank have a 35th? With conditions barely improved, he and Todd set off for Oulu, their final destination, on the world's first ever trans-Scandinavian canoeing expedition. It's a daring dash to the end.
All right, we're in Oulu. Trans-Scandinavia wrapped up. 800 kilometers, 3 countries, and we're finally done. It's time to hit the beach and celebrate.
Finishing voyages can often be more frightening than starting them. Striking shore, Frank and Todd know they will soon be back in the so-called real world. It's hard. They are Vikings one day, working stiffs the next.
As usual, the journey is it, and the end is the end, and it's over. And that's when you start thinking of another one. So, it's a crazy disease I have, but
but it's better than most, I guess.
There's just one more thing Frank has to do before this adventure can be officially put to rest. Against his better judgment, Todd agrees to join him, but only if they wear shorts.
To the Vikings!